everything you need to know about the brand new Citadelle Day More intro cutscene cinematic that's just released. I assume we're going to get a gameplay trailer very shortly as well. Of course, this is more giving us the setup for the storyline, so there isn't too much to take out of this gameplay-wise, but there are some details to make note of that are important for gameplay, but most of which I'll be describing is obviously regarding the story. Before jumping into the cutscene itself, the official description that Trek posted alongside it reads, "Following the events of Terminus, our crew follows the clues to a medieval castle in Avalon, France in search of a forgotten artifact and a man who should not be alive." So, as you know from the Terminus ending cutscene, Sam, the AI that is pointing us in the direction of the Sentinel artifact from the Chaos storyline that allows the person who activates it to manipulate an ancient matter known as Prima Materia, which literally allows you to manipulate the fabric of reality itself at the proton levels, which can theoretically, I guess, allow you to extend your life or bring people back from the dead, and it of course created the zombies in that storyline. And that's what we're going to be searching for, as Gabriel Kraft has the knowledge from Alistair Rhodes surrounding it, but of course he's from Vanguard Zombies. He is extremely old now. I don't think we know an exact age of him, but he shouldn't be alive, so it's been theorized that maybe he's used the power of the artifact to allow him to give himself extended life. Maybe similar technology is used for Ravenov, explaining why he ends up still alive all those years later in Modern Warfare Zombies, looking mighty fine in spite of his extreme age. But without further ado, I'm just going to play the full cutscene for you now so you can watch it if you haven't already, and then we'll jump into my analysis. So stay tuned, enjoy.
Sergei, your services are required. The professor needs another beating. Are you there? Why did I hire that drunk? Laurent, check the alarm!
Weaver, I thought you were dead.
If it were only that simple.
And why the fuck is this rat bastard with you?
We're looking for a man named Kraft.
Who may know how to bring back Maxis.
Kraft is our prisoner. We were offered millions to find out something only he knows, but he won't talk. Not even to me. And, who are you?
I'm the one who's gonna kill your boss. That a problem?
Ravenov, where the fuck are you?
I am thinking of doing the same.
This kind of shit happen everywhere you fucking go?
We're in no condition to fight.
Stay on comms. Guide us to Kraft. And try not to kill Peck.
Okay, so my initial reaction of this cutscene is that, to be honest, it's probably the weakest one out of the cutscenes we've gotten so far for Terminus and Liberty Falls. I really liked both of their intro cutscenes. This one is a bit of a letdown in the sense that it doesn't really answer pretty much anything. There are a couple new questions posed storyline-wise from this cutscene, but overall it does feel kind of too similar to the Terminus one in the fact that they're all just kind of standing around in a building, not too much crazy is going on, and then a zombie outbreak and choose to jump into the map. I'm hoping that in the future intro cutscenes there's a bit more action and chaos going on, and they're not all just stood around talking in a room, and some characters such as Kava, for example, literally don't say a single word, so there are certain people getting left out here, which I don't think is great in terms of being able to understand and empathize with these characters. There are clearly some characters that are taking the limelight over others, while some of them are being left a little bit in the shadows. And a big question you will immediately have is, where on earth is Strauss, as as well as Raptor 1, because neither are present in this cutscene. Now, I think we can write off Raptor 1 pretty much immediately, because he's probably going to be the exfil pilot. Probably he's already stationed at an exfil point somewhere, ready to take them away. I'm guessing that's what is going on here, and he's probably brought them over to Avalon on his trusty helicopter. I don't know if he's gone all the way from Terminus over here, or what stops they've made along the way. But in terms of Strauss's absence, I find that very interesting. I don't know where he is. In the Terminus ending, he of course expressed distrust regarding the knowledge on Prima Materia and the Sentinel artifacts, basically just saying, you know, it's all a myth. He didn't really believe in it and believed himself to be a man of science, although the lines have been blurred for a very long time, and he's already seen so much craziness with Ethereum that really, is Prima Materia that far from it? Not really, to be honest. But maybe he's just departed from the crew because he doesn't want to go on what he believes to probably just be a wild goose chase, and he doesn't really believe in it. I've seen some people saying that he might be dead. However, I don't think he is dead, because we know he ends up eventually dying with the rest of the crew, the Requiem crew, in Urzikstan as of 1996, when they sacrificed their lives to some sort of Ethereum canister for whatever reason that we don't know what the purpose is just yet. So that kind of spoils what happens. Definitely Modern Warfare 3 Zombies is spoiling a lot, unfortunately, because we already know how a lot of this is going to close out, although we still have many questions. So Strauss is still somewhere. I assume Strauss will join us on a later map if he is not involved in this map in some way. You know, maybe he's going to be on the comms, he's somewhere else doing something on the map, or it's possible he might just dip out for a map or two and rejoin us later on. Maybe he needs to do some soul searching to sort of reconcile with the magic of the Chaos story, and after he's done some reconciliation, he might then rejoin us when realizing that this stuff probably does exist. They may have also stayed behind on Terminus Island. Maybe there is still work to be done there. Now, the next big thing I'm sure you probably noticed upon watching the trailer is the date, because the map is taking place on the 25th of February 1991, specifically at what looks to be 6:50 AM. Now, it is possible that the actual map, when we're playing it itself, may take place a little bit afterwards, because, for example, the Liberty Falls intro takes place a bit before the actual map. However, it should be sometime around then, so not too much time has passed from the Liberty Falls as well as Terminus outbreaks, and this is only 2 days after Crystal Miller as a child was interviewed from Blanchard inside the mansion, because she successfully managed to escape. However, I don't necessarily believe this means the Liberty Falls outbreak is closed. I think he's just managing to hold off inside of the mansion successfully, and I think we will go to the mansion in a future DLC map, maybe at the end, so things can come full circle. But in terms of the outbreak itself that ensues at Citadel, who causes this? Because we know that the SAM AI causes the outbreaks at Terminus and Liberty Falls simultaneously, but she has specifically tasked the characters in trying to obtain the Sentinel artifact because she says it can rescue Samantha Maxis. However, we know that she's double-crossing them because she's the one who caused the outbreaks to begin with. So it's possible that maybe some other entity is causing the outbreak here and not the SAM AI, maybe an old one or something like that. However, I do personally think it is still the SAM AI. I think, you know, maybe she just needs to cause the outbreak so they don't start getting suspicious. I don't really know, but I still feel like she is responsible for whatever reason, or maybe she just can't properly control her powers and the outbreak she's causing, and she's doing this incidentally regardless of what she actually wants to do. And this makes sense because this is exactly what happened to Samantha Maxis when she was in the Dark Ether and Firebase Sea. She was the one who caused the outbreak as she was suffering psychological trauma. She couldn't really control this. Now, before we talk more about the storyline stuff, I first want to talk about gameplay stuff, because first of all, we do get a glance when Weaver looks out of the window at what looks to be a gladiator statue. The statue kind of looks like King Arthur as well, and that could definitely be true. I did post a video talking about how I think maybe a lot of the mythology could be based on King Arthurian lore, and potentially the backstory for the swords could be based on Excalibur as well. Of course, just theory based, but we're going to have to see if that ends up being true. It kind of looks like Thor as well. It's hard to tell. I mean, Von List was searching for Thor's hammer, so it wouldn't be so far of reach, and it's kind of funny because there's literally Thor's hammer in Black Ops 2 Zombies campaign, so it's technically canon. Or maybe it's actually Odin, because after all, the one shown in the Terminus ending does appear to be the Norse Odin Sentinel artifacts from Voyage of Despair specifically. So we know from Trek's teaser that they posted the other day that the map has a really dark history, because they said the Syndicate's dealings with Project Janus have brought disaster upon a place already soaked in blood. So there has been war here happening at some point in time, and it's possible during the medieval period there was some sort of great war that actually took place here. And I'm wondering if these medieval knights as well as these gladiators fought against potentially the old ones coming up from the dark ether and these ancient gods, similar to what we saw in the Chaos storyline as well. And considering this map is very similar to the Eisendrache, and that was the battleground of the Great War as well, where the Apothecans fought against Primus and humankind, maybe something similar happened in the ancient history of this map. And also these knight statues we see do seem to be like the Templar Knights, which are not just a thing in zombies, they exist in the real world as well, and are a French military order of the Catholic faith. Of course, in the zombie story, they were devoted to the Keepers, but in this new Dark Ether timeline, maybe we're going to have a new version of these Templar Knights that might then explain some of the history of the Societe Occult. But we know that the Syndicate have been burning religious artifacts, so that kind of contradicts that unless they are devoted to one of, if not many of the old ones from the Dark Ether, as the Syndicate follow the Knight's motto, which translates to "Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory." Who knows, to be honest. I'm really excited to see how the medieval stuff ties into this map though, and the history of the map, because like I say, we know it's baked in blood, so some sort of war happened in the past, and maybe that happened in the medieval times, but also during World War II, because there does seem to be a bomb here, which is actually a British bomb. So they bombed the castle for some reason, and this bomb is still laid here, so that's got to be special in the Easter egg. Maybe the map ends up exploding by the end of it, but why did they actually bomb this castle? I'm not exactly sure, but maybe it could have actually been because they were trying to defend the castle against some sort of old ones and giant gods from the Dark Ether. Who knows? Leave your thoughts below. But I guess this is both a story and a gameplay thing, and I assume this is probably going to be the spawn of the map. I'm guessing we start off in the village that we've gotten a preview of, and then we have to make our way to the castle, because most likely the castle is where Gabriel Craft is being held, above the town itself, the little village itself. And I'm guessing that the village is where a lot of these Syndicate families have actually been living, and maybe we're going to encounter some of these survivors throughout. And we do also see that there is a Deadshot Daiquiri machine, so that's one confirmed perk location that looks to be on this path between the castle and village. Now, in terms of more story stuff, when I initially did my reaction, I didn't even notice that Strauss was absent from this cutscene, to be honest, but the first thing that hits you right in the face is Ravenov looks very different to when we've ever seen him before. His younger self, Firebase C onwards, as well as his older self that we see in Modern Warfare 3, like I say, somehow still alive via some magic powers or essence. He has lived 3 completely different lives, and Ravenov really looks like the Winter Soldier now. He looks so different with the long hair and beard. And the cutscene starts off with him reading a picture of him and Samantha Maxis, and on the back of it, it says "Forever in your debt" from Maxis, and the picture shows the two of them together, and then he puts his cigarette butt out on both his heart as well as his face. And you also hear the round stinger noise as this happens, which is a really nice touch here.
Check the alarm!
Now, obviously, Ravenov worked as a mole within Omega for Samantha Maxis, as he was a devoted Russian patriot, but he didn't agree with what Omega and the atrocities they were doing. So he defected and began contacting Samantha Maxis, a close friend. So both of these characters have history, and this history has not really ever been properly explored. We don't know to what extent their friendship means, really. But it seems like they may have had a much closer and stronger friendship than we initially thought, to be honest. And the fact he burns it out in his heart as well shows he has a broken heart, and it makes me think, what if they had a romantic interest? Because I don't think it's totally off limits that they potentially had a romantic interest in their past before Firebase C. Now, it could just be a very strong platonic friendship for his heart to be broken. It doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic one, but it's just an idea that I thought of. And of course, we know that they end up having a child together. together somehow. We don't really know how, but we know Samantha Maxis and Ravenov have a child, Ava Jansen, that is birthed through surrogacy by Dr. Gray. But he apparently said this happened with or without his consent, so it might have been something forced by Janus / Requiem / Richtofen. But if they actually had a past love interest, I think that would be an interesting plot. Obviously, it's heavily implied that Gray and Samantha had a love interest throughout Cold War, so the fact that they've ended up in this kind of throuple, then having a child together, would kind of make sense. It's very weird. This storyline is extremely weird, and I don't know how Ava Jansen's going to tie into the storyline of Black Ops 6 or when exactly that's going to come up, but it's going to have to happen at some point in time. But I am really wondering what that could all be about. Like I say, it's very well possible they just had a strong friendship and it doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic one, but it definitely has me intrigued. It seems this could be when they first met in Romania, when Maxis was working as a rogue B&D agent. And the background for this kind of looks like the multiplayer map Checkmate that takes place in Berlin from Black Ops Cold War, or it kind of reminds me a bit of Cartel as well in Nicaragua. And it could merely be that Ravenov really only has a few people close to him, especially after Black Ops Cold War. He lost everyone close to him, and his hope in rescuing Samantha could have been the only one he could latch onto. As opposed to this being about romantic love, it could simply be platonic love. Or maybe he did romantically love her, but she didn't reciprocate, or maybe there was just no time for it in the midst of battle. And then of course Gray came along, and maybe in doing these horrible acts as a mob enforcer, he feels like he's letting Samantha and anyone else that's close to him down. Now, as the cutscene progresses, Ravenov, upon seeing Peck, obviously gets very hasty. He's like, why the hell are you here? Why the hell are you lot, Weaver, etc., working with him? Because obviously Peck was working for Omega throughout Cold War, and he double-crossed them so many times, most noticeable probably being when he threw Samantha Maxis in the Dark Ether and interrogated her on Firebase Z. That probably Ravenov holds the most anger over. I wonder if maybe Richtofen even tricked Ravenov into working for him because he proposed an idea to try and rescue Samantha Maxis, but maybe never intended to, but this was just a way to get him to help. I'm not exactly sure, but Ravenov has just been through so much trauma. We know by Modern Warfare 3 he literally loses everyone close to him, and we know they end up failing to save Samantha Maxis. His heart is empty, but also he hates himself. He probably especially hates himself during this period of his life. He describes in Modern Warfare 3 that this is a very dark period of his life where he becomes this mob enforcer and has to do horrible things. He's literally beating up Kraft, for example, and Kraft is just not giving in. He's such a ruthless warrior. But he really should hate himself at this moment because he is not doing good acts. He's working for the absolute worst people in the world for a reason he probably doesn't even really understand. And I'm hoping that now he has the rest of the Terminus crew with him, that hopefully things pick up a little bit for him and things are brighter. As he thought they were dead, he thought they were lost, and I don't know why he thought they were dead. Was he just given misinformation that they died on Terminus Island, or did Richtofen tell them that they died, or that he even killed them himself, not knowing they were on Terminus? Maybe Modi sent false information that they were killed by Patient 13 before she was killed by Patient 13 herself? I don't know, but it probably shone a bright light in his eye, learning that they are still alive and there is still hope for him. It's just a shame that regardless of what hope he may have in seeing them again, we know it doesn't last long because we know there are great atrocities to come. So I'm guessing that in the Easter egg for this map, it's going to be Ravenov and Peck who are going to be doing the comms, similar to how it was Peck and Strauss over on Terminus. So they're going to be the ones communicating to us throughout the main quest, throughout the Easter egg.
You're in no condition to fight.
Stay on comms. Guide us to Kraft. And try not to kill Peck.
And I'm really excited to see that because there's so much anger and angst between the two that's going to make for some really funny dialogue. I can't wait to hear all of the bantering between the two, and I'm guessing that's maybe why Strauss is absent, to allow Ravenov to take more of an integral role and lead as we see the two of them bicker instead of Strauss. But yeah, I'm wondering how Peck is going to excuse his actions. Obviously he's very egotistical, he's not probably going to apologize for anything he's done, but I wonder how Ravenov's going to press him on his narcissism and all of that. whatever horrible acts he has done. And we also then have Maya, of course, that Ravenov's never met before, so he asks, who are you? And Ravenov on this map is of course going to learn who she is, but they don't unfortunately have time to talk as a zombie then jumps through the window. But both Ravenov and Maya have lost people. Maya lost her brother Nathan just on Terminus, and Ravenov's been losing people repeatedly, including Samantha Maxis, so they may bond together because they are both dealing with loss. Now Ravenov has been working as a mob enforcer for the Syndicate. He's actually been the one interrogating and beating Gabriel Kraft, who has been captive. Richthofen of course paid the Syndicate, and we learn here that Richthofen actually paid them $1 million. So yes, Richthofen and the people funding Janus and the French Syndicate, they're all very rich individuals, but Richthofen wants to find the Sentinel artifact probably because he wants to try and use it to try and restore his wife and son who perished, and he's very desperate to do that. But despite the fact that Kraft has been getting beaten and interrogated, he's not giving answers to Ravenov or the Syndicate at all. Obviously Kraft has a ton of knowledge from Vanguard zombies, but even between Vanguard and Cold War zombies, he will have learned so much more about the Dark Ether, way more than then, so he's one of the most knowledgeable people in the Dark Ether. His knowledge is integral, and he's keeping it all to himself. And the Sentinel artifacts do actually require a key in order for them to activate, so I'm wondering if maybe they already know or have the Sentinel artifacts, but they don't have the key in order to activate it, and Kraft has the knowledge of where it's hidden, or maybe even hid it himself, or the Societe Occult or Order or someone like that could have hidden it, but he has the whereabouts but he's not giving it up. Or maybe both the Sentinel artifacts and the key are missing, and he is not giving up either of their location. And I'm wondering if he is going to die by the end of the Easter egg, but that's going to be the point of the Easter egg. We're going to be trying to rescue Kraft. It's kind of a bit of a generic setup. I hope that all of the DLC maps aren't just trying to rescue people, but I've got a feeling they may be, honestly. I mean, we know Richthofen's taken as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if we have to rescue Richthofen on one of the latter maps, but I really hope this isn't the case on all of the maps. But yeah, Maya and Ravenov will probably bond over their trauma, so I'm interested to see how their dynamic plays out. And also right now, Maya doesn't know Peck that well, but she will have gotten to know him more between the time of Terminus and this map, of course, and when she hears about all of the stuff from Ravenov that he's done, and obviously she's probably been hearing from the other characters as well, she may grow to hate him a bit more, even though they do have kind of a bit of a friendship, but she also, you know, acknowledges his flaws, of course. But yeah, I do find it interesting that Ravenov is the one to save Dr. Peck right at the end and save him from the zombies shooting him, so it shows that, you know, Ravenov is still going to do the right thing even if he has that hatred for Peck. He's still going to have his back regardless, and they're all going to be looking out for each other, because what more can you do in an apocalyptic scenario? There's nothing really more you can do there, really. But yeah, the trailer then ends just with the logo, and we get an overview of the map as well, where there is Deadshot in the bottom right of the screen. I am really looking forward to this map though. But delving more into the potential backstory of the map and ties to the Chaos story and stuff like that, I do wonder if the Societe Occult and or Order could have used this as a base of operations in France, and a lot of the stuff with the Order as well as the Societe Occult did happen from France. A lot of them are French. The Societe Occult, the name itself is literally French, so, you know, maybe some of their descendants are part of the Syndicate now, and I do think there's going to be a lot of lore and history on this map, and we do see that there are these knight statues as well. We're going to get sword wonder weapons, apparently 4 elemental swords on this map. I can't wait to use the wonder weapons, and maybe these swords were used in some sort of great battle, like I say, with these crazy magical fantasy bosses that we've seen in the past. Maybe some sort of giant snake or something like that could be the final boss fight, and with the Chaos story colliding with the Dark Ether story now, maybe we could see some gods like Odin or stuff like that in the map. Maybe not as bosses themselves, but maybe we could see some statues or some paintings of them, similar to what we saw on Der Eisendrache, as I say. And in the image they released the other day, there does seem to be some sort of gargoyle or dragon looking creature, graffiti of them in the background, so I'm interested to see all of the weird creatures, and I'm glad that they're going for a more mythological fantasy style of map like we used to get with the Chaos story here. But I am wondering how the Sentinel artifact ties into the map and how the Chaos stuff ties into the map itself, because right now the intro doesn't really tell us anything, and you know, some people were speculating maybe at the start of the map we activate the Sentinel artifact and that creates a trial, which is the basis for the map, and that creates the zombies, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Maybe it could be on the next map or a future one, but I'm guessing we either fail to find the Sentinel artifact on this map, you know, we save Kraft or fail to save him, and then we need to go somewhere else to find the Sentinel artifact, or maybe Kraft dies at the end, but right before his last breath, he tells us where the Sentinel artifact is, believing he's doing good by trying to help us get Samantha Maxis, but we might be getting manipulated by the Sam AI to do her own bidding, whether that be to get a body for herself, maybe to use the body of Samantha Maxis as a body for herself, or some other nefarious agenda. Maybe she's working for an old one or some sort of god from the Dark Ether. Who knows what the Sam AI's agenda is, but it definitely does not seem to be a good one. But yeah, I feel like we're not going to get the Sentinel artifact on this map, or at least if we do, it might be right at the end, and maybe on the next map we're going to find it. I'm thinking the next map might be the dig site map that's rumored in Avalon as well, and then after we head there, maybe we'll get the Sentinel artifact. We learn Sam is lying to us. We learn Richtofen's whereabouts still in Liberty Falls, because our characters think Richtofen should be arriving here, and we're going to learn that's just not the case. Maybe we're going to learn this from Ravenov or some of the other Syndicate members, and then we're going to have to head all the way to West Virginia Liberty Falls. And I'm guessing that in the DLC maps, not much time is going to pass between them. It's all going to be very short spanned, because, you know, there's not been much time since the last two maps, and I don't think there'll be much time between the next two either. And then I think there's going to be some sort of time jump probably at the end of the storyline, because somehow it then has to connect with the stuff with Ava Jansen and the characters dying as well. Now, a point I haven't mentioned in this cutscene is that obviously Maya wants revenge on Franco, the leader of the Syndicate, because of what the Syndicate did to her brother Nathan, who they were helping the Syndicate smuggle people for Terminus Island for Modi, of course, and she wants revenge for his death and all of the torture he had to endure at the hands of the horrible scientist Modi. So it wouldn't surprise me if by the end of the map she gets revenge and kills Franco.
And who are you?
I'm the one who's gonna kill your boss. That a problem?
Ravenov, what the fuck are you?
I am thinking of doing the same.
Then leading on to the final map, or maybe she, you know, puts a knife or threatens his life to his throat and gets him to force them to tell them where the Sentinel artifact is or where Craft is or something. I'm not really sure, but very, very excited about all of this. Like I say, mainly storyline stuff. Let me know all of your thoughts and theories in the comments below, because I've probably missed some things, of course. There's many different ways to interpret this cutscene as well. Many things are about to unfold, and we'll be getting a gameplay trailer very soon and probably a blog post as well, where we'll learn about the new field upgrade perk and all of that other jazz, and I'll be making a breakdown when we get that. But anyways, thank you for watching the video, and make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.